We will end today's shorter lesson with a couple of examples. Now that you know what's the difference between displacement and distance traveled. And turns out, as we're going to describe motions in the next class, displacement is basically the key variable out of all this. So we'll look at 3 specific examples and give that a try and see if you get them right. The first example is this. So I'll give you an example and I want you to tell me the displacement and the distance travel of this example. So the first example is if I take a stone and I throw it vertically upwards and it lands back on my hand. Okay, so I take an object, for example, this pen, I throw it up and land back on my hand. The maximum height it goes to is 10 meters. Okay, so that's my hand. And I'm going to throw a rock up and down and vertically up to 10 meters. Okay, so what is the displacement and the total distance traveled by the rock? Okay, and example number 2. If I toss a so if I'm on a cliff, that is 30 meters high from the sea, all right, so that's the ocean, and this is 30 meters. So if I'm here and I toss a rock 5 meters up and all the way it lands all up to the down to the sea, all right, so 5 meters up and it lands to the sea. Again, what's the displacement of the rock? The rock is the object of interest, and what's the total distance traveled? And thirdly, is an example in 2 dimensions. If I okay, so if I go around a circle, let's start with the circle, and just to aid myself in talking about directions, this time I'm gonna use northeast, southwest, and I'll start from the north point over here, and I'm gonna drive a car, and this circle has a radius of 10 meters, let's say. So I drive around this circle. What is the distance traveled? Okay, or displacement and distance traveled? Displacement and distance traveled for a couple of parts. I'll split part A. If I start from here to, so from the north point to the west point over here. So this path, let's draw it like this, right? So this path, what's the displacement? What's the distance traveled? What's the displacement when it goes all the way to the south point? So part A from here to here, part B from north to south, part C from north all the way to east, and part D all the way back to north, right? So let me get the question clearer. All right, so part A from the north point to the west point, part B from the north point to the south point, from the north point to the east point, and from the north point all the way back to the north point. For each one, tell me the distance, the displacement, and the distance. Okay, so the first 2 is sort of a warm-up, should be relatively straightforward once you get the concept, right? And this one, a little bit more tricky, but it's a math trickiness, hopefully. It's not the conceptual trickiness, all right? So give this a try, and we'll see the answer in the next video.